Thanks again for tuning into Home Track Heroes. This current segment is brought to you by Northwest Motorsport. Northwest Motorsport is the largest truck center on the West Coast. Lifted trucks, diesel trucks, and custom trucks. Northwest Motorsport has locations in Linwood, Everett, Marysville, and Puyallup. So that is a wrap-up, though, however, for our Pro-Am Round 3 presented by Bardal. Zach Farrar, took the #1 spot. And, man, what an outstanding battle. But we're going to be switching gears now to our team tandem competition. Teams of between 3 and 5 are battling out in that same bracket-style elimination. Let's go right onto the track. Let's go straight into the action with our first team here. This is going to be Team Ignat and Friends as we work our way through the brackets. And again, so this is going to be teams of 3 battling out, and the idea is for the drivers to basically have as much proximity, stay as close as they can to each other, and whichever team puts on the better overall performance as a single unit will make the advance. So this team here, again, Ignat and Friends, I believe they're going up against, I believe it's Drift Factor.
Yeah, you can see here pretty good close proximity, and you can tell this is a lot smaller track than we were running earlier in our Pro-Am. The idea with the smaller track is that way you can keep it closer and not be in as much danger of hitting each other. And that way also, if your buddy doesn't have the power to do it, you can stay closer and don't have to run away from your friends.
So Ignat and Friends, they were setting the bar with that last run. Drift Factor, another team here, they're trying to one up or do better, but
yeah, had a spin there, so looks like the lead 2 guys are gonna have to finish the run. So that's the advantage of having more cars, and also a disadvantage. If you have a bigger team, you can kind of overcome some mistakes that one of your team members might make. However, now there's more team members to make mistakes.
Exactly, so some strategy to kind of keep in mind there. But at this point, Drift Factor just out there having fun. Newer team, hadn't seen them out in previous years, but always good to see some new faces. But I believe it's going to be Ignat and Friends moving on to the next round. Up next, one of our all-girl squads, Suicide Girls, coming in with their mix of cars. They're going to be paired up against Team Richard. So here they are coming off the line. Nice, slow, steady start to set the pace.
Oh, it looks like Katie in the back there is washing out a little bit, but gets back into drift. Good lead there by Riley, keeping it together.
Consistent gapping between all 3 cars, not bad. They're on each other's lines.
Ooh, a little bit of a bobble there, but let's get through that finish line here. Ooh, all right.
A little scattered there at the end. I mean, they were doing their own thing, 3 at a time, but the judges really want to see them stacked up, like right on top of each other.
Yeah, being a team, being together. And these girls actually throw on an event down in Southern Oregon, an all-girl drift event that they just had about a month ago, and I believe they're going to try to do another one this year, if not next year. And it's I think they had about 20 girl drivers out there for that event.
That's cool to hear, yeah.
Yeah, so trying to really help out the local community and really get women into motorsports and stuff like that. So it's a really cool thing that these girls are putting together.
So very capable girls, no doubt. Just want to see them a lot closer together. Just get them door to door. Other than that, that's all we can really see. They're going to be going up against Team Richard. So, they've set the bar. Let's see what Team Richard can do here in their mix of BMWs. So we actually got Chase Schmidt out there, Hank Hammerly and Tyler Campbell out the rear.
So Chase is leading there in his E46 BMW. He actually competes in Pro 2 with the E36 BMW. So he will be running throughout that Pro Series. And then Hammerly is actually one of his mechanics on that team. So these guys know each other really, really well.
And Tyler in the back there just kind of finishing out the back of the crew. Pretty decent run there. All 3 of them holding pretty consistent gaps between one another. Let's take a look at the drone footage as they all get off the line. Pretty similar pace here.
Yeah, and you could probably have the advantage with these guys because Chase and Hammerly have been driving together for years, so they have a lot of experience with each other. You can see that E46 out front and that old E30 right behind there with the big V8 swapped into it. Nice and close there. Hammerly gets right up on them. Good consistent gapping. Probably pretty good run, no major mistakes.
Yeah, and they're doing a great job being right on each other's line. Again, they're not trying to pass each other. They're not trying to smash each other. They're just trying to hold close proximity and be a single unit. Going to our next battle. It looks like, one of them's really straggling behind.
Knights. We got Tandem Knights here. So, yeah, there's a big gap there between the first 2 and the second 2. Let's see what we got going on here.
Possible just poor communication of those guys getting off the line. In practice earlier, they were, having a real good time staying together as a unit, initiating as a unit, but something happened there at the start where they all just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, they tightened up there at the end, but yeah, they were doing great in practice earlier today. So I'm not quite too sure what happened there. We're looking at the back of Steven's car here. He initiates right behind his lead driver. A little bit of a bobble there, but the big problem is going to be that they had 2 groups of 2 instead of a nice group of 4. So
right.
we have to look at a little bit of sparks coming from there. Maybe the tires are dead, or maybe he's rolling that sidewall all the way out to the rim. But getting a couple of sparks coming out of the bottom of that car. So
these were some pretty good-looking cars, though. I gotta say.
Tandem Knights had the style down for sure.
Some bonus style points just in how they look. But yeah, I was surprised to see them real spaced out there. They're going up against IDQUID, which stands for I Don't Know What I'm Doing. And let's see if that stands true here. A mix of cars with Jeremy out front, a mix of cars behind him.
Yeah, you got a bunch of different cars there. You got a BMW in the lead, you got a 240, and then is that a G35, I believe?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But Jeremy out front doing a pretty good job setting the pace. Decent gaps in between them. Getting tight now as they head around.
Nice and close there.
Yeah. This is our peanut gallery layout. Very, very simple infield layout. But the transitions keep the cars nice and tight. And that's exactly what they did here. Not a bad job. Drivers doing the best they can to mimic each other's entry style and stay on each other's line. Close on that transition there as Jeremy leads the way and the 240 behind him, trying to stay on that exact same line. And also as the sun drops, we're going to start to see some more underglow and some of these cars lighten up.
Yeah, that's that whole After Dark thing. So when we have fans in the stands for After Dark every year, there's a lot of lights going on in the cars, stuff like that, adding that style to this event.
As we work our way into the next battle, it looks like, I believe, IDQUID actually got the win on that last battle as we head into...
looks like we got Chinchillin here.
Another one of our 4-car squads.
So you got some big heavy hitters here. You got 2 of our Pro-Am drivers in this group. You got Patrick Heald and Brad. Oh, Brad and Eddie kind of get a little bit together there. So had a little bit of a mistake there on that 4 group.
Getting a little lost, but trying to find each other's quarter panels to chase, but each driver kind of getting a little squirrely. I mean, it's exciting to watch, but not exactly the clean formation we like to see in team tandem. They're all kind of all over the place.
Yeah, a lot of experienced drivers here, so I think just that one real mistake on that first inside clip kind of threw everybody off for a loop there towards the end. So.
You know, Devin and Pat look pretty decent there out in front.
Yeah, those guys drive together quite often.
But Eddie and Brad, a little squirrely out in the back. They were actually part of another team which kind of dissolved, and they ended up kind of recuperating into this team. So maybe they just had lack of experience practicing with each other, but all capable drivers for sure. As the second half is going to be Motorhouse Lust, but unfortunately they were down a member.
Down 2 members possibly, if I remember right.
Correct. So huge deficit. In fact, it's basically an automatic win, as we made the stipulation that you need to have at least 3 cars out on track in order to pass on as a variable run. So
yeah, you see out front, Kevin, one of our Pro-Am drivers. A part of Motorhouse Lust is actually Earl, our on-course announcer there.
That's right.
Earl's actually part of this team, and then I believe they had someone else in that team as well, but they might have only had the 3 showing up for this event.
One of the best looking teams, though, I'll give them that,
yeah,
no doubt.
They got the style for sure.
So Chinchillin moves on after that last pairing as we move on to Bone Apple Tea going up against No Solicitors Drift. Bone Apple Tea, heavy contenders. They've taken the podium in our previous years. These guys have driven with each other quite a bit, and it shows here, just right on each other's line and holding proximity nice and tight. Tom Tabachinsky, Lucas Dorado, and Joseph Lynn leading the 1, 2, 3. And Chris Yule is usually the 4th member, but I think he might have been exhausted from judging Pro-Am all day.
Yeah, it was good to see Chris out and driving again. He's been a part of the local scene for a long time. He works for Formula Drift, the National Series, and then he's one of our judges. And he was part of this team, but for whatever reason, he's not out there on this one. But you do see Jolin leading up the back of this pack. He's a Pro 2 driver this year. Running that National Series, so we got another big couple of heavy hitters on this group as well.
Strong run, though. One of the better ones we've seen so far, as they're all staying right in each other's lines. Up next, though, No Solicitors Drift. Let's see how they can answer with that E30, the Corvette.
Yeah, we got Corey out front and John on the Corvette. I've driven with the Corvette a lot of times. There's some good pictures online of him tapping doors with me and stuff like that.
Been loving him.
Yeah, he is a great driver, and you can kind of see that. Corey's not giving him the best lead line, but he's still right there with him.
Right on him. And then an RX-8, something you don't see too often, but he's hanging tight. He's making all the aggressive moves to try to keep up. I'd almost put that RX-8 in the front. You know, typically a lower car or slower car out in front will help keep the group nice and tight. But
yeah, and they did have a fourth member, so I don't know what happened between practice and the runs here. They did have a white E30 in this group, so they did have a four-member group. So they're down a guy on this one, but
not a bad job. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see Eric and Corey sticking together. Corey goes a little wide there, but John in the C4 there, keeping nice and close. Like I said, he's an awesome driver. So much fun to drive with. Great guy.
Great run there, but I think it's going to be Bone Apple T, the all three that stuck together, a little bit stronger than the two there that were hanging tight. Our next pairing, though, I believe it's going to be Ratchet Slayers. And, yep, this is Ratchet Slayers here.
Ooh, big correction by JR there. But sticks with it, gets back on the door there.
Jarrett Robertson out front and Keelan Krause, I believe, and that Pontiac out in the back.
Yeah, big old GTO out there.
Wide swinging as he kind of falls out of pace. Great lead run from Jarrett as he's setting the pace, smooth and steady.
Yeah, Jarrett and JR had a good run there together. They're keeping it consistent right next to each other.
And that's kind of how the judges look at it. You know, in this incident, you got 2 cars out of 3 that are really holding a strong tandem. 3 out of 3 would make a much stronger impression, but that's what the other teams are going to be looking at, and that's the bar they need to, that's the bar that's been set that they need to beat, essentially. So let's see if the next team can one up or do better than what Ratchet Slayers has laid down here. Going to be seeing a team front bumper. I'm sure there's some sort of strange story behind these team names, but you can only make assumptions as the strobe lights are on.
Well, as of right now, Alex is missing his front bumper.
There you go, right?
You got also in the middle there, you got Julio, who's a great guy. I think he's leading the grassroots competition right now.
I think so.
And big mistake there. That's gonna pretty much give the win right to Ratchet Slayers. Julio finishes out the lap though with his front bumper in drag.
No
tow
kidding.
There, so
go figure. That could have been a lot worse though. And you know that lead car, I think he spun out and almost had basically choked up the rest of the gang. But good eyes by Leo to able to do some evasive maneuvers and get out of that in one piece more or less. Let's see the in-car, yeah.
Yeah, so looks like Alex gave us another in-car like he did in Pro-Am to see his group so we can see kind of what happens. But they were nice and tight together. You can see here we actually have a passenger in the seat. Passengers are allowed in these group style of battles because we're on a slower track. There's less danger to spectators and stuff like that. So you can bring your team member that was helping you all day on the Pro-Am, bring him in here and ride shotgun.
So yeah, that lead car just over-rotated on that transition around that first inside clip, and then they all just kind of got bunched up. But again, luckily able to stay out of each other's doors. No harm, no foul. They're able to drive another day. So yeah, that's going to be the Ratchet Slayers moving on to battle in the top 8. So moving our way through the brackets. Up next, first battle in our top 8, I believe. This is going to be Goon Squad. These guys are looking pretty good too. They got the similar underglow, kind of reminiscent vibes of the Fast and Furious, those black cars with the green underglow.
Now we got blue.
We're ready to rob some trailers.
Yeah, we didn't see them in the top 16 because they were actually one of our top qualifiers, so they actually had a bye the first time through. So we'll see what we get from them being top qualifiers. You can see them nice and close.
Looking good.
I also love the matching cars. That's what Team Tandem really is all about, is having that matching style. So you can see that at Tandem Nights and Goon Squad. Yeah, Sexy Nights is another team that's actually from Japan. That's who I'm thinking of. But yeah, Tandem Nights and Goon Squad have some matching liveries, which is always great to see. Really get that team aspect together.
Bonus points for style, like you mentioned. These guys look great together, and exactly what we want to see in Team Tandem. The lead car setting the pace, and the following 2 cars right on that lead car's line. So they're going up against Ignit and Friends.
I believe Ignit and Friends podium or won last year for the Team Tandem.
Yeah.
So they're heavy hitters in this kind of competition. You can see nice and close right off the bat. They were definitely close all the time during practice today. And you can see it there. Ooh, lead car, Matt kind of chokes up the follow guys there a little bit. It's a little bit of a mistake, but staying pretty close to what you'd expect after seeing them during practice.
Yeah, and their cars show it too. They're all sorts of beat up, and they got scars for days, but good job. Those 2 350Zs in the rear right up on top of each other, and a great lead by Matt out in front, setting the pace. Love the Hart bash bar too on Gage there in the middle.
And then you can actually see Matt's girlfriend, Alex, there with their cell phone videotaping the whole thing from inside the car and all that stuff. It's pretty great to see. It's always fun to bring people along for a ride.
One of the greater parts about Evergreen Drift is that we do allow ride-alongs. So we're going to come back into the action. Stick around. We'll be right back.